Hi, I'm Rob from the Identity team. Most of you know Stripe is a payments infrastructure company. We help businesses grow by maximizing revenue. But as we've worked with millions of users over the last 10 years, we found that beyond payments, one of the main problems faced by growing businesses is the ability to separate legitimate users from fraudsters. Globally, in 2021, online fraud will cost internet businesses over $5 trillion. As the internet has evolved, there are three seismic events that have defined it. Search, upon which all of the connected data on the internet is anchored. In the early 2000s, search drove much of the business of the internet. Second, market enablement, taking infrastructure and coordination problems and solving them at scale, something that Stripe cares about deeply. And finally, trust and safety, possibly the hardest problem and still unsolved. The global internet economy depends upon this, and we're living through this third major shift on the internet today. Trust and safety online is complicated. Fraudsters rely upon the fact that for most newer growing businesses, building sophisticated tools to ensure that customers are well-intentioned is something that will drain resources from their core idea and cause them to make difficult trade-offs. If you run an online business today, it's inevitable that at some point you'll become the target of online fraud. This problem is one that we are acutely familiar with at Stripe. We face the same dilemma with our own business. Stripe's growth has meant that we are one of the biggest targets for fraudsters on the internet. Our business depends upon our ability to protect our good users and quickly weed out the bad. It's taken us years to build systems that protect us against an ever-evolving group of well-resourced and motivated fraudsters. By becoming a global company, we've learned how to scale our systems to new markets and manage compliance across many jurisdictions as we built out our own Know Your Customer program. What we've learned is that robust digital identity is at the center of truly knowing your customer. This is a particularly fraught problem for online businesses because each new interaction on the internet starts anonymously. If we consider how we prevent fraud in the physical world, we can rely upon passports, driver's licenses, even birth certificates, all physical artifacts to prove who we are when we engage in the economy. If we go to open a bank account, a teller can ask us for a photo ID and quickly assess if it's legitimate. But in the online world, setting up a similar check requires heavy investment in infrastructure, security, compliance, and user experience. For Stripe, this is reminiscent of the problem we began to solve with payments a decade ago, when taking a simple credit card payment could cost you your business months of engineering work. Making complex things simple is part of Stripe's DNA. What if we could take the complexity of identity verification, fraud prevention, global scalability, and robust security and package all of that inside a simple and intuitive API? That's what we've set out to do with Stripe Identity. With Stripe Identity, we've created a simple, programmable way for online businesses to verify the identity of their users with confidence. Identity is built on the same infrastructure that powers Stripe's global onboarding and compliance program and helps hundreds of billions of dollars of payments annually. We've obsessed over the user experience to make it easy for legitimate users to prove who they are while preventing attacks from fraudsters pretending to be somebody else. This is by far the fastest way for you to start verifying the identities of people on your platform from dozens of countries across the globe. Today, we'll show you how we've done the hard work through innovative technology so that you can focus on growing your business. And to walk us through it, here's Inigo.
Thanks, Rob. Now let's talk about how easy it is to implement identity. Meet Cavom, a fictional marketplace that lets travelers rent homes and experiences. Homeowners can list their properties and get paid whenever someone stays at their house. Now, like many other platforms, Cavom wants to make it easy for homeowners to change the bank account where their payouts get sent to. But they've recently run into this major issue. Fraudsters have hacked into the homeowners' accounts, changed the bank account details to their own, and effectively stealing all the homeowners' earnings. That's pretty bad. So to stop this, Cavom has decided to integrate Stripe Identity and ask their users to verify themselves before allowing any account changes. Stripe makes it incredibly easy to add identity verification to any app or website. It literally just takes a few minutes and a few lines of code to start collecting and verifying IDs from all over the world. All you have to do is create a verification session, specify which verification check you'd like to run, and what level of friction to present to your users. Bank account changes are pretty sensitive, so this flow does a document, selfie, and ID number check. Stripe gives you a link to a hosted verification experience that you can send your users to or embed within your app. Your users will be guided through securely uploading their documents and get sent back to your site once they're done. Stripe then sends you a webhook with the results of the verification check, as well as all the extracted data from the document. This allows you to trigger reactions in your app and automate business processes. And it's that simple. With just a single API call and a little bit of webhook handling code, we've now added an ID verification flow to stop fraudsters and prevent losses. Now let's see what it's like to get verified with identity. I'll go ahead and log into my Cavom dashboard and change my bank account details. Of course, I need to verify my identity. So I click Continue, and I'm redirected to Stripe. As you can see, Stripe Identity is a co-branded flow, which means that you can customize the logo and branding colors that are shown to your users. We've added support for all major devices, and even translated the experience in over 30 languages. Users can get verified on desktop using the webcam, or capture their documents on their phone. Switching to phone is really easy. You can send yourself a text, email, or scan a QR code. I'll go ahead and scan the QR code to continue on my phone. Next, I'm going to select the type of document that I'll be using for the verification. Identity supports passports, driver licenses, and government-issued IDs from over 30 countries, and we're constantly adding support for more. I'm from Spain, so today I'll be using my Spanish ID. Now, before I can continue, Stripe explicitly asks for my consent. Privacy is very important to us, and we want to make sure that users understand how we treat the sensitive information they're sharing with us and where they can exercise their privacy rights. I'll accept. And now it's time to take a picture of the front of the ID. Now this should be pretty simple since we're just taking a picture of a document. But over the last 10 years of doing identity verification for Stripe's own onboarding, we've learned that the #1 reason why legitimate users can't get verified is because they're unable to capture a high-quality picture of their document. That's why we spend a lot of time developing advanced image recognition models that guide the user into presenting the right documents and capturing the best pictures. Let's see how that works. First, identity validates input in real time. What that means is that when I show something that's not an ID, like this credit card, identity is able to recognize this instantly and shows me an error message. This tight feedback loop allows your users to fix their own issues and lowers your manual review and support volume. Now, as soon as I show my actual ID, you can see that the identity reacts in real time and guides me to make sure that it's fully visible. And once it's fully in frame, identity auto-captures it without me doing anything. Now, what just happened there was pretty cool. We had machine learning models running in the background, analyzing and scoring each frame coming from the camera, and selecting the one that's most likely to get verified. This dramatically increases your verification rates. Now it's asking me to scan the back of the ID, but I'm still showing the front side to the camera. Identity recognizes this and guides me to flip the document over. And once I do, auto-capture does the work. We scan all the machine-readable zones and barcodes to make sure that the ID is legitimate and that the information printed in the front is congruent with what's encoded in the back. And more importantly, we'll look for similarity against known fraudulent documents that we've seen over the last 10 years. As you can imagine, fraudsters are constantly trying to attack Stripe, so we've gotten pretty good at catching fakes and understanding what type of documents fraudsters use. Next, I'll take a selfie to verify that I'm the owner of the document. Once again, Stripe asks me for permission before we capture the biometric data. As you can see, identity takes a couple of pictures. We do this to make sure that there's a real person behind the camera and not someone holding up a picture of a face. Now, we all love taking selfies, and it turns out that they're also really powerful at deterring fraud. When we added selfie checks to our own fraud interventions at Stripe, we saw a 50% drop in fraudster completion rates with minimal impact to legitimate users. Fraudsters really don't want to show their face, and selfie checks stop them from using stolen documents. As a last step, Cavom is asking for the last 4 of my social security number. I'll type in a made-up number. And that's it for the verification. I can return back to Cavom and continue with the bank account changes. Now, in the background, Stripe is verifying all this information. We use computer vision to ensure that the documents are legitimate, extract biometric information from both the photo ID and selfie to ensure that they're the same person, and we use the extracted information from the document alongside the social security number to look up this information in a government database to ensure that the identity exists. As an admin of Cavhome, I can log into the Stripe dashboard and see all the verifications that have been completed in the past. I can even create new verification links to share with my users without writing any code. Here's the verification we just submitted, and it looks like it wasn't actually verified. Let's understand why. Here, I can see all the extracted information from the document, as well as the collected images. And, aha! It looks like the reason why this verification didn't complete was because I used a fake social security number. We expected that. Of course, all this information is available through the Stripe API, where we return descriptive error codes explaining why a verification failed. You can use this to automate business processes or build your own verification logic. For example, during COVID, some businesses decided to temporarily accept expired documents because legitimate users couldn't go out and renew them. The rich responses from the Identity API allow you to customize how you handle different verification outcomes. And what's more important is that all this information is kept safely within Stripe. You don't need to worry about the legal and technical challenges of storing sensitive information on your servers. You can use the Stripe API to retrieve it whenever you need it and can always choose to delete it from Stripe systems. Stripe is using advanced machine learning technology not only to capture these documents, but also to verify them. On the capture side, we spend a lot of time building the most fluid verification experience possible to maximize conversion. This includes developing technology to optimize user input, like detecting blur, glare, auto-cropping, real-time document decoding, and auto-capture, like we saw earlier. And we also invest heavily in fraud detection. We're using several fraud models to catch fakes and prevent presentation attacks. And these fraud models are not static. They're constantly being updated, incorporating their learnings from the latest attack vectors seen across the Stripe network. Our goal is not just to prevent fraud, but to ensure legitimate users have the best user experience possible. So there you have it. Identity provides a secure flow that optimizes verification rates, works across devices, and saves you development time. The Identity API and hosted experience allow you to verify global users in a matter of minutes. We hope you give it a try.
Thanks, Inigo. Now that was a simple integration. As we built Stripe Identity, we've worked with dozens of internet businesses to understand what matters most to them. Take, for example, Peerspace, a marketplace for booking unique locations for productions, meetings, and events. Their team is deeply committed to building a trustworthy and safe transacting community and came to us for help streamlining user verification with their payments infrastructure. On the renter side, Peerspace surfaces Stripe Identity before allowing new users to complete their first booking. On the host side, Peerspace has embedded identity within Connect onboarding as a security measure to prevent fraud and document the host's relationship to the space being listed. Or Shippo, who builds software that helps e-commerce businesses purchase shipping labels easily. As with any SaaS business, they face problems with fraudsters signing up with stolen credit cards. Previously, if an account was flagged as high risk, their support team would need to reach out via email to collect more information about the user and then decide if they should be offboarded. Now, with Stripe Identity, Shippo is able to easily automate an ID verification to confirm if a user is legitimate or a fraudster. And finally, Discord, a communication service designed for creating communities on the internet. As with any service that connects people together, keeping their users safe from scammers and bad actors is a top priority. That's why Discord used Stripe Identity to launch the Verified Bot program, which limits developers from widely releasing their bots until they get verified. Now you may be asking, why are we building another document ID verification tool? Well, even today, the majority of the global economy, more than 80%, is still offline. Solving challenges related to digital identity will be critical for enabling a truly online economy. After 9/11, it became obvious that dark money can more easily flow through the pipes of the internet. Governments and businesses realized that money laundering and terror financing would need to be quelled online too, so internet-based Know Your Customer programs began to grow in prevalence and scope. These programs quickly began to utilize knowledge-based data like date of birth, address, social security number as proof of identity. However, over the years, we've seen breaches are common, and a lot of this personal data flows freely into the dark web today, making verifications based on these static databases increasingly unreliable. Physical photo IDs are the one common unifier of identities today. And with great biometrics, we can create a link between the physical and the digital, thinking global by default and providing as much access as possible to well-intentioned individuals. We're still very much in the transition from physical to digital, bootstrapping physical identities onto the internet. Thinking back to that third seismic shift on the internet, trust and safety, we're still very early in this process, but with Stripe Identity, we want to expedite the transition. Looking to the future of trust and safety, beyond documents, we believe that the fabric of the internet itself provides a rich set of signals that are far more effective at keeping people safe. When we combine identity with what we've learned from enabling the internet economy, we truly get a picture of who is and who isn't trying to commit fraud. For example, for a bad actor, consider the difficulty of synthesizing years of legitimate online activity, although some well-resourced fraudsters do try. But by having a rich network of information, businesses and governments can continuously verify that someone is who they say they are and thus create a safer and more trusted online environment for everyone. That's what Stripe is facilitating as the entire world economy goes online for the first time, the only time. We're in the process of hydrating the online economy with verified physical identities. Once we have people online, we can rely less on physical artifacts. From the last 10 years of working in payments, we've built a deep understanding of how legitimate users behave on the internet. We've already built Stripe Radar, a machine learning fraud prevention system based on learning from hundreds of billions of data points on the Stripe network. We've already verified the identity of millions of individuals who've come through our network of platforms and marketplace partners. Stripe Identity is continuing to add to that network. And our reach continues to grow globally each year. Whether you're new to Stripe or have been using Stripe for payments for years, Stripe Identity is a natural extension to help you grow your business faster without worrying about becoming the target of fraud, while increasing trust and safety with your user base and easily fulfilling a crucial part of your compliance requirements. We are live in 8 countries and are available to a wider range of businesses than most other Stripe products, including crypto, insurance, and loan services. This is just the beginning. Stripe has been part of the internet shift in enablement through economic infrastructure. Now we are using that learning and applying it to digital identity. There's much more to come as we continue to build on the capabilities of Stripe Identity. In the coming quarters, we are continuing to invest in global reach by adding support for more documents and new ID types like eIDs. We're also improving interoperability with more Stripe products like Radar. Long term, we want to enable a natively digital solution for identity verification that doesn't require individuals to have a physical ID at all. This way, businesses can drive better conversion and reduce fraud in a completely frictionless way. And we can level the playing field for global individuals who may not have access to documents. As we've learned ourselves, the ability to trust users on the internet is essential for every online business. With Stripe Identity, we're excited to take technology that began as a piece of our internal infrastructure and turn it into a tool to grow the GDP of the internet.